Island Echo has this week spoken to Network Rail and South Western Railway ahead of this autumn's Island Line closure.
I would like to start by really saying sorry for the disruption that we know this is going to cause our passengers, our local businesses and our local residents as well. We totally understand that closing the railway line is really inconvenient, so we'd like to thank you for understanding and just really being patient with us during this period of time. So in terms of the work, yes, we have been here before. So the last time we were here was in October 2023, and we always knew when we were delivering the works on certainly Ryde Pier, we had to do it in bite-sized chunks. It's such an incredible structure, very extensive. It's over 150 years old. I think 1814 it was first constructed. So over that period of time, it's received a lot of sort of wear in terms of the environmental conditions. So we're here again. We've got a lot to deliver. So 590 metres of brand new track we're going to be installing, and we're going to be installing 2,500 metres of brand new steel that sits underneath the railway line as well to really reinforce and give really good base to the new railway line.
If you mind telling us a little bit more about the bridge renewal works that might be going on at Park Road and Ring Road.
Yeah, so we're going to be renewing both of the structures. Obviously, we know that the condition of them are quite poor, and obviously they're critical to the safe running of trains. Now, whilst we look at the railway and the infrastructure, we're obviously very interested about the infrastructure that runs over or next to the railway as well. So completing those within the 4-week closure, where we have the closure of the whole entire 8.5 miles of Island Line, they're an absolute key part, along with other works, that we must deliver.
And finally, the footbridge at Brading Station has been closed for a very, very long time. It's finally set to be reopened. Will works definitely be completed in time, and what can people using the station expect?
So we are really confident that those works will be delivered on time. Obviously, I know that it's very important at Brading, and it's quite a landmark there as well. So we're confident that the work will take place, that will happen as planned, and hopefully then the general public will really appreciate the work that we've delivered.
So since the £26 million investment that was pledged into the Island Line, various issues, whether that be with stock, infrastructure, staffing, what's being done to combat this, and when can Islanders expect to see a reliable 2 train an hour service as was originally promised?
It's a great question with lots of parts. So let's take them one at a time. The investment programme, the main thrust of the investment programme was to make the Island Line sustainable for the future. And you mentioned rolling stock and infrastructure in that question. So from a rolling stock point of view, very close to my heart with my engineering background, the 483s, the previous trains, completely unsustainable. We were down to 1 train in the end due to lots and lots of issues with continuing to try and maintain that old rolling stock. So absolutely the right time to invest in new trains. And then from an infrastructure point of view, we needed to upgrade some of the infrastructure. And part of the investment, as you mentioned, is the 30-30 timetable. So putting a passing loop in at Brading to enable that to happen. And we did commence running the 2 trains per hour timetable this year. What we found really rapidly was that the reliability, the robustness of that timetable was really difficult. Certainly here at Pierhead, where we had just a 4-minute turnaround on a timetable basis to get customers off our trains and onto the ferry, and customers off the ferry onto the train. Even on a good day, it was very difficult to make work. And where we were carrying any kind of delay due to issues on the line, due to other issues, operational issues, we had no way of recovering that timetable, and therefore we just ran that delay through the day, or cancelled a train and obviously missed the connection. So not ideal at all. So we moved to the 40-minute timetable, 3 trains every 2 hours, which has actually been really reliable. So the last few weeks since we've had that in place, we've seen some of the best performance on the reliability on the railway, on this railway that we've seen for a very long time, even pre-investment, which is great news. There is still an aspiration to get to that 30-minute point. So whilst it wasn't the main thrust of that investment package, it was certainly part of the intent. So we are looking at what's required in order to achieve that. So as I said, the reason for the tight turnaround is it just takes that amount of time to get here and get back to Brading. So what we need to do is put infrastructure interventions in place to either speed the train up or reduce the dwell time at stations, or do some other infrastructure work to enable us to get there. We need to investigate that, we need to understand it, and more importantly, what we need to do is assess whether or not that is a financially viable means of getting to that 33rd, or whether indeed the 40-minute timetable or some other timetable is the right approach to go from a sustainability point of view.
Okay, we've had various delays in the past. Are we confident that things are going to run to time this time around?
From an infrastructure point of
Yes.
view? Yes, is the short answer. Absolutely, from a pier closure point of view, and indeed other closures on the line, it has been hit with either severe weather or, for the pier point of view, more corrosion than Network Rail were expecting to find. Obviously, I'm sure Network Rail will explain, but it's not until you start stripping things back and understanding what the substructure looks like you understand how difficult it is. So we've learnt those lessons, we understand what we are likely to find and also what weather we're likely to see, and we've planned all that in. So we've got the contingency in there to cope with that. So an opening in May, high confidence.